The King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents the Broadcasters Podcast, where we dive deep into the media industry headlines and dissect the digital disruption that diverges the masses into the new media counterculture and away from the media establishment. Here is the King of Podcasts.
I don't know, maybe just some people always, when they were watching Scooby-Doo when they were growing up, whatever incarnation it was, whether it's the movie itself that was out in the 2000s, or it was the old show from 69, 70, all the way up to the 80s, right? Maybe there was just something where somebody saw Scooby-Doo and said, you know what? I'm going to do this different. I'm going to totally change the way this show looks because it's not the way I want it. So William Hanna, Joseph Barbera, the guys that, for how many decades? 50, 5 decades, almost 6 of putting out cartoons that, how many generations love to watch? I grew up on Hanna-Barbera. I grew up on Scooby-Doo. Oh my God, man. I watched all those episodes. And I had, you knew which ones were good. 69, 70, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Great. The 76 version, not so bad. It would, eventually just it got a little less good, but that's how everything was as you went along. And then, what was it? Mid-80s, you had Scrappy-Doo come in. And what was the cousin or whatever? I forget the name. So the lighter dog. I don't forget what the dog was. But the thing was, you had all that. And then you come here and it's like, this is not the one where you have Shaggy being voiced by Casey Kasem. So we're not getting that. We're not getting any of that kind of thing. Velma. Mindy Kaling. Fucking A, man. What? Did you even... it doesn't matter to you. Listen, I know. You make shows, and you know what? As long as it has your touch, then, it's like magic. And she just feels like she can just put whatever she wants out there. But this is her interpretation of Scooby-Doo. That's what Mindy Kaling did. It doesn't matter what the show was. She took creative license to every character and said, well, we're going to make it for this generation, for 2023. That's what she did. And everybody's shitting on it. I haven't looked what the Rotten Tomatoes number is as of late, but I look and I'm saying to myself, you just asked for it, man. And if people are watching it, it's like on VH1 used to have the awesomely bad things that used to have on, was it music or awesomely bad songs, right? And you have that, and I'm like, what's the number right now? I have not looked at it. Oh boy. Ooh, man, let me tell you what. So at the moment, 45% for critics, and I think just some people were just trying to be nice about it. Meanwhile, still sitting at 6% audience score. 6%. Oh, listen, I'm not the political type, but I'm apolitical with this show, okay? But when something like this comes up, I know everybody's been bashing on this for a couple of weeks, but you know what? Give it a couple of weeks. I've not watched the show. It's got HBO Max. I'm not turning it on in ever. But I don't know if I want to go and watch it. I've seen the clips, I've seen the trailers, but I don't want to watch it. I don't. I'm not going to let myself look at this, what is Rotten Tomatoes saying, the radical reworking of the beloved mystery team. I can't do it. I can't. I don't even have the curiosity for it. I know some people do. I know. It's just I don't want to look at what I enjoyed as a kid and see it bastardize. The best word for it. I don't want to look at that. But people want to. Hey, people love a good train wreck. Curiosity or train wreck. Hey, why are they always talking about onlooker traffic? This is it. Onlooker traffic. Train wreck. A jackknife. It's a jackknife TV show. This is right here. The animation is interesting, but wow, man. They went off with this. I did not look who did I didn't know who did so far the setup for the animation. I don't know who did that. I'd like to know who did that. Actually, that would be a good question. Who are the animators for this? But I haven't looked. Oh, okay. Studio IAM in South Korea. Yeah, Japanese. Of Of course, it's all outsourced. And by the way, Velma coming out after the release of Scoob in 2020, which it looked like did really well. Let me go back and look what they did. When it comes to that movie, no, it did not. I forgot about it. $90 million budget, $28.5 million. But that's because of the issue with 2020. It was pandemic. It just got hit with a bad spot. But I don't know if it did really well when it comes to what people thought about it. I think Rotten Tomatoes probably got a better score for it. And I think people probably watched it more than anything else. But like, damn. Oh no, Rotten Tomatoes, 48%. At 53% score. Oh boy. See, the thing is, you want to keep changing things. You want to keep changing. And see, they even say here, some hardcore fans might want, oh, well, look at this, but yeah, why would you want to watch this when you'd watch the old shows? So it's the continuation. The reception is the best part. I just look over it on Wikipedia. It tells you everything. Metacritic has mixed for average reviews. And then AV Club and Salon Gajar says, this isn't the Velma we're used to, but it's the Velma we deserve to enjoy today. Who said to change it? Why don't just, honestly, there's a thing where, I'll put it like this. If you want to go ahead and just kind of, interpolate, we get that so much. Why don't you just do that? Why did you have to make it where it's under the licensing of Scooby-Doo? Why did you have to do that? Rick and Morty's a great example. Why not just do that? Listen, we know it's Back to the Future. We know it's based on that. Why not just go with that and just go parody and just do your show as you want and go out there? That is what Mindy Kaling should have done. The problem with this altogether was you took the Scooby-Doo franchise for what I don't know. Why did you want to go and do that when you know there are fans out there that love this show? Love it. It's one of the best cartoons we had. We quote it. If it wasn't for you damn kids, right? Meddling kids. We watched that show religiously. Reruns after reruns after reruns. I can still watch it. Even with the goofy music they put in the second season, I can still watch that show and enjoy it. Even if I know who the villains are, they take the mask on. You know who it is. Whatever. The stories were good. We enjoyed it. Even the ones with at the movies where they had the Harlem Globetrotters or Don Knotts, right? We watched those too. Batman and Robin. We watched all those. We enjoyed it. But you come here, you could have just taken the idea, the same concept of Scooby-Doo. We would have all known that. Everybody would have known it was. But no, you don't want to do that. You just wanted to go ahead and just shit on everybody. Because I'm Mindy Kaling and I'm going to do what I want. We don't care if you wanted to go ahead and change the characters. The thing is, you decided to go ahead and take away what the characters were. Why? Scooby-Doo as a franchise has been going on for so long. We didn't need this here. But that's what they decided. I don't know. And listen, I understand why you want to do a show like Velma and you want to go that route. Listen, you could have just made a completely different series and have the characters dressed in the same garb as before. But you didn't do that. You also made little changes. But even then, you could have just put them in the same garb. Literally just take it, copycat it, and then do the shit you want. And I think everybody would have been happier about it. At least we would have known. But the problem is, you wanted to rely on Scooby-Doo. You chose to do that. You wanted to do that because you felt like, oh, well, people are going to watch it. They're not going to watch it unless I make it Scooby-Doo. Unless it's something Scooby-Doo related, because then the curiosity factor is what's going to get people to go and watch. And I guarantee you this too. Probably couldn't have gotten greenlit on HBO Max if it didn't do that. If it wasn't Scooby-Doo based, probably wouldn't have gotten it. I'm being serious. HBO Max, they own Turner, which owns the Warner Brothers for the Hanna-Barbera library, all of that. So, no problem for HBO Max to go and let something like this come on the air. They put it out there. But it still comes down to the fact that you decided just to take the characters, beloved characters, beloved. They've done DVDs, they've done cartoons, all of it. Comics, all of it. Merchandise, all of it. And then you decided to go and do this. I don't know. Listen, it was on purpose too. This is not where when I used to watch Tom and Jerry, right? And when MGM stopped doing the Tom and Jerry cartoons, right? Their studio got shut down, 1957, something like that, because of television. And somewhere in the 50s, they decided to move off the Tom and Jerry cartoons and outsource them to Gene Deitch, some guy in, what was it? It was Germany or Sweden, something like that? Or, I don't know, was it Czechoslovakia? Something like that. It was like in a Slavic nation. And Gene Deitch does these really weird versions of Tom and Jerry, which were not that good. I think he did like a dozen of them. They were not that good. Really weird and out there. Like, they were just trippy. But we accepted those. Like, if they show those Tom and Jerry cartoons as part of the Tom and Jerry cartoon set, yeah, we'd probably watch it. We're going to be like, the one with the cuckoo bird and all this, like, ooh, ooh, like that was that. And then there's always the angry guy that's always getting mad, like, ooh, like all that kind of stuff. It was bastardizing Tom and Jerry. But at least it was kind of sticking to the actual way the cartoon was. At least it was kind of sticking to that. But for whatever reason, you're going to get this cartoon redone. And you're going to go do this. You wanted to fetishize that, Velma gets to go and hook up with Daphne. I get it. Want to fetishize that Fred's gay? Yeah. Want to fetishize that, Shaggy's black? Okay. I don't know why, but okay, good. You want to have an Asian character? You want to have you a South Indian character? You're the Velma? Okay. But you had to take Scooby-Doo. You could have just done it without even anything. Listen, you could have made it something where it was almost like a Halloween party, and everybody got dressed up in costume as the Scooby-Doo crew, as the mystery team. You could have done that. Mystery Incorporated could have done that. But you didn't. You chose not to. Adult animation, that's fine too. I don't think anybody would have given a shit. Now, the problem is, I really think nobody would have cared. Because if it's Mindy Kaling, put your face in front of it. That's what you do. That's what you do with your movies. That's what you do with your TV series, your other projects, your damn comedy show. Mindy Project did pretty well after Office. Okay, people know who you are. You do your stand-up specials. Everybody knows who you are. And so you want to go ahead and do this. Produce this. Okay? And there's more critics here. Liz Shannon Miller, Consequence. The show has an unbalanced tone, lack of focus, absence of Scooby-Doo, and an overstuffed narrative. Right. No Scooby-Doo. What? Where's the dog? Hollywood reporter Angie Han says that she praised the thoughtful, emotionally honest portrayal of Velma, but made note the show loves to poke fun at televised tropes, seems somewhat less sure of what it has to offer in their stead. And it's the insistence that it's not like other shows grows thin, and the cast feels more like joke machines than individual characters. Another person at IGN says that Velma is a biting, hateful version of Daria without the character growth. Right. I mean, remember Daria, I don't even know if it was a comparison to anything, but Daria, people like that show. I remember watching that. I thought it was funny. And it was kind of playing fun of itself, but still, it was good. A spin-off of Beavis and Butthead. It's still funny, though. It happens like that. But that's the thought. The show's been the subject of relentless criticism from fans, overwhelmingly negative reviews. And people were basically saying this is like one of the worst shows. Right now, it is one of the lowest rated TV shows on IMDb. Lowest. Hey, did you want to do a show that tanked? Did you want to do that? Well, I mean, it's for HBO Max, so it doesn't matter. But God forbid this was not a movie that was put in the box office. Ugh. If you thought Regal was going to go bankrupt that bad, if they put that up there, that would have not done well. Not at all. But these are the things they decided to do. It's like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. Yeah. It's just funny, this shit. Anyway, let's get into what actual stories are saying. I don't know. Whatever. So the latest thing right now on Velma is the fact that they did do a new queer romance with Velma and Daphne. All right. Listen, whatever. It's whatever, okay? So in the story, they talk about the fact that Velma wants to be Harley Quinn meets Riverdale, which frankly sounds awesome. And then you have Jane Lynch and Wanda Sykes as Daphne's moms, a friends to enemies to crushes romance between Velma and Daphne, and 3/4 of the main Mystery Inc. players becoming people of color. Should have been the easiest slam dunk in history. Candace Parker on a 6-foot hoop. The reviews were so bad the first weekend, 6% Rotten Tomatoes, the lowest rating. I simply refused to write about it. I felt hopeful it would get a little bit better. Alas. 6 episodes into the cartoon, and instead of uncovering things to like because the show found its footing, it's somehow getting even less interesting and even less funny. Now, by the way, I picked a biased person that wants to enjoy this show, right? Listen, this is from autostraddle.com. And this writer here is trying to go ahead, and obviously this person really feels like they want to go ahead and honestly love this show. Heather Hogan here. She wants this show to succeed. Probably would have been a fan if the show had some real quality to it. But like I said, look at the way she set that up. And then reviews were so bad the first weekend, I couldn't write about it. That's worse than the critics that are just going to bash. This is almost worse. And I picked this here because I was like, man, Mindy Kaling, this writer here would have probably championed your show if you would have put better effort to it. Make it funny, make it interesting. But I guess that didn't happen. So let me go along with here. This is bad. Every episode is a cringy, eye-rolling slog that doesn't seem to have any idea who its audience is, yet seems to despise them all the same. Right. It's as if Mindy Kaling probably watched this show as a kid, and probably other people really liked it, and she didn't. So she says, well, I'm going to be rich someday, and I'm going to bash this movie. I'm going to bash this show. I'm going to bastardize it. I'm going to make this show the way I want it. The characters are going to be the way I want it. Okay? Fun? Where Harley Quinn and even last year's Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, the animated movie where Velma came out as a lesbian, found great success poking fun at their source material characters. See, you could go, the route of, that's woke. You can go that route. If you can make it funny, good. Challenging, but you could do it. Obviously, somebody said that they did. Now, Velma just seems to be mean to everybody. Velma herself is the show's main punching bag, full of swipes at Indian girls, not thin, nerdy, queer girls. And outside of mocking Velma, the jokes aren't straight up assholery, sound like some 13-year-old Redditors attempt to parody cancel culture, or a couple of veteran TV writers going back and forth about the industry while they're high and everything stupid sounds hysterical. I don't know. And then she goes on to talk about this writer, everything that's gay about the show. Jane Lynch and Wanda Sykes, Cherry Jones as Fred's mom, Nicole Byers, Shaggy's mom, Fortune Feimster as Olive, and Daphne said she was baptized on the set of Ellen. And then Velma and Daphne's Regina George, Janice Ian dynamic, but actually gay. They were best friends who fell apart when Daphne got hot and popular, and Velma started hallucinating mystery monsters after her mom disappeared. Then a sizzle between them that confuses and intrigues them both. Every time they touch hands or get their faces near each other, they blush and bumble. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay. And by the way, Mindy Kaling, I guess she doesn't give a shit. Because this writer also makes the point that Kaling's depictions traffic far too heavily in damaging stereotypes for my taste. Like every character other than Debbie and her 2 love interests are flat caricatures. What's more, that in 2020, we're still making fat jokes on TV, fat-phobic jokes, and her depiction of Indian community isn't as superficial as their other representations, but it's equally thoughtless. Mindy Kaling recently liked a J.K. Rowling tweet which answered the question, how do you sleep at night? Well, she wrote back, I read most my recent royalty checks and find that the pain goes away rather quickly. Right. Money. She already got the contract. She already got the project green lit. She made her money. Doesn't matter now. Now the show's here. And people hate it. Hate it. Wow. People got pissed. Pissed. Major. And then we go along to another story that goes a little bit more. Now, by the way, let's give it the credit where credit is due. The trainwreck curiosity is in play because HBO Max has gotten demand up 127% for that show. So people are watching it somewhere, one way, right? Parrot Analytics, they say the breakout shows are most in demand. They premiered in the last 100 days. 127% increase in demand, second place among the most in-demand news shows. Wow. Okay. So it's got that going for it. Will it stay like that is the question. And then this also goes into a larger topic, which is everything that keeps getting remade. And what does it do? So we now have a story from Vulture, Velma and the Case of the Condescending Reboot, which we've had several so far. Night Court relaunched. A reboot of Night. I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for that either. But people are watching it. Hey, okay. Night Court for this new generation. Fine. I'll take the Night Court from the 80s. Give me Harry T. Stone. Give me Mac. Give me Roz. Give me Bull. Give me Kathleen. Wait. Yeah, Kathleen, right. And give me Dan. Sleazy, trashy Dan Fielding. Not this older version of himself. No, we don't want that. So anyway, they go on the story here. And the 2023 TV reboot production system, 3 high-profile specimens for public consumption. And then we have that 90s show, by the way. We have that now. And there are 2 critics actually go ahead back and forth about what's going on here. Jen Chaney and Roxana Haddadi. So Jen says there's 2 types of reboots. The kind that tries to completely modernize or reimagine a material, and the kind that's just plug and play. And all these 3 reboots do a little both. Velma veers more towards the former, and right, so the plug and play, stick some new characters into pre-established formula, and let nostalgia work its magic. So right, Velma is modernizing, reimagining. And the Night Court and that 70s, 90s show, just kind of like, let's just do it for a new generation. Maybe add a few things for this nostalgia, new players, whatever, and that's it. So we're going to wash in reboots and remakes and sequels and prequels. Projects that feel increasingly narrow in what they're trying to do. Star Wars TV Universe, how bland and low stakes it felt early last year. Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Book of Boba Fett, Andor. And people are asking, well, how is this going to go? It must feel to make a TV series with a deluge of content and a constant battle for people's attention. And familiarity has been long and effective way to get eyes to your project. People are trying, man, but it's not working. So Velma has been maligned online since it showed up. Now, it's developed by Charles Grandy, who's been a frequent Mindy Kaling collaborator, worked with her on the Mini Project and Champions, and also worked with her on 4 Weddings and a Funeral. And so they said it's Scooby-Doo with an edge, and the edge involves a lot of crass jokes, excessive horniness, and such extreme attempts to be meta. Riverdale, a reference for the first 5 minutes of episode 1, high school locker room, where they feature 2 cockroaches having sex. Oh boy. What are they doing here? The tone is an inconsistent mess, and so is his character development. Velma is both the most nerdiest, most hated kid in school, and a girl to whom every member of Mystery Inc. is wildly attracted to? Make it make sense. I agree. I agree. And everybody doesn't realize the fact that, listen, you can go ahead and you can let this young lady go ahead and do whatever she wants, and she can do whatever show she wants. The point is, you took Scooby-Doo, an institution. Most of us, if you've been a child, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, fit into the 2000s. You probably, no, maybe not 2000s, because that's when Saturday morning cartoons kind of like faded out. Unless you're watching Cartoon Network. And you're walking during the day, or you're watching Boomerang, you would have seen Scooby-Doo. You probably did. But the thing is, the current generation, yes, your Gen Xers, your baby boomers, your millennials probably watched Scooby-Doo. And probably had a good feeling about Scooby-Doo when we watch. And honestly, the other problem is, does it really make a difference to the whole idea of, if you wanted to go ahead and really poke fun at Scooby-Doo, They made it easy for you. Threesomes, menage a trois with Fred, Daphne, and Velma. You tell me don't people didn't think that? Of course, Shaggy and Scooby getting high and always having munchies. Come on. They didn't make this hard for you. I mean, the people that were doing those shows were high anyway. Like, let's just be honest. In the 60s, they were probably high on LSD, doing the same shit that the Croft brothers did, right? Sid and Marty Krofft did the same shit, and they were doing some really trippy shit on those shows. We all know that. How do you come up with HR Puffin stuff and Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, okay? You gotta be high. You gotta be high to do that. Now, going back here, Jen Chaney actually makes a great point in this story. She says, there was a Saved by the Bell example, the new Saved by the Bell, right? They're saying that the new Saved by the Bell got it right, that 90s show got it wrong. So Jen says now that Tracy Wickfield, who adapted the series, coincidentally worked on a mini project of Four Weddings and a Funeral, seemed to have an innate understanding of what was both appealing and ridiculous about the original. The jokes that made fun of Bayside High were mostly aimed at the educational system or society at large, but the characters, even when they were being idiots, were generally treated with generosity and respect. Something that Velma is deeply lacking. A really good reboot should have an obvious reverence for the material that inspired it without letting that reverence get in the way. So Velma does a lot of gesturing and multiple allusions to meddling kids and one sly, well-deployed nod to Casey Kasem, the original voice of Shaggy, but the show never feels like it was made by someone who deeply cares about the Scooby-Doo franchise. Exactly. Why do you let somebody do a show, but they probably didn't like it? I mean, might be familiar with it, but probably didn't like it. So it could either be that it was Charles Grandy that didn't like it, or who knows? Right, that's what it was. Charles Grandy, Minnie Kaling, I guess they were not fans of Scooby-Doo. So who at HBO Max greenlit this? Was this something where the Warner Brothers Discovery merger got in the way and people were kind of like out of sorts, and David Zaslav or whoever it was that was running shows didn't know what was going on? They didn't realize this show with 6% audience appreciation was going to do bad? I don't know. I mean, are people going to want to go back and watch this again? I mean, if you're going to put a show up on the streaming, you want it to be something that you can watch one time and you want to go back and watch it again. Is it going to be that retention? I doubt it. But hey, man, they tried. It's funny shit. It really is. That's all I got for Velma. I'm not going to go any longer about that. That's just all I'm going to say. I want to get into podcasting because there's a whole lot to talk about. There's a lot of stories because the big podcasting giants, your Spotify's, your iHeartRadios, all these major podcasting outfits, they're not putting out the money for the celebrities like they did 3 years ago. That's not happening now. Recession's here. Now we're getting cuts. The corporate types are all cutting. Spotify's one of them, among others. They're all doing things. But here's the thing. This is what the grassroots podcasters out there, these are the radio pros. This is their chance to go ahead and shine now. Take some of the space of what we've been seeing right now with all things with catching whatever podcast out there with some particular celebrity and what they're doing. And part of the podcasting realm is the fact that some of these podcasts, especially with celebrities, they're more video shows. They are podcasts, but remember their platforms are more on video platforms, where Spotify has the video component, but you have YouTube and wherever else, right? But now those kind of contracts, the thing is, people are trying to say that podcasting is going down because of the fact that's happening, and then you know what's going to happen? There's going to be a loss of interest in podcasting. Wrong. Absolutely not. It's going to continue. And I'll tell you the numbers that will show the proof. But first of all, if you haven't heard about this yet, I only learned about this on a TikTok video the other day. But this app actually came out a month ago. I didn't know about it. And I wish I knew about it sooner. It's a free tool. Listen, if you haven't heard about this yet, I'm going to talk about it now. Adobe formerly had Shasta Podcast. Well, now they have Adobe Podcast. And they're now putting out some really nice shit to really put together something that's like, they're really putting together some really fun things right now. I'm really amazed with what they're putting out. Like put out a couple different features that are fantastic. You understand? Fantastic. One of them that I must praise left and right because I am so amazed with how well it did. Okay? Honestly, they really kicked ass by putting together what is now called Enhance. Among other things that they have. Okay? But I got to get into a couple of things real quick and talk about this. Because this is fantastic work. Now, first off, they've put out a private beta for Adobe Express, which I finally got myself onto, and I'm going to go ahead and try to use at some point. I want to check it out for myself and see what it's all about. And I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to seeing how this all works out. So now this Adobe Express allows me to go and do Instagram Square posts, Instagram stories, Reels, TikTok posts, Facebook posts, all these different things. I'll get a chance to do something with it soon enough. Soon enough, I will do something. And then there's so many things you can do when it comes to images and videos and so much more. I'm going to check it out for myself and see what it does. But in the meantime, the other thing they have done, which is really damn good too, is you have a way to go ahead and check out your microphone. So if you want to check out your microphone as well and see how it's working, you can actually test it out. Yeah, what's called mic check. Analyze your microphone setup for free. Fantastic. So you have a nice way to kind of, evaluate and do a test if your microphone sounds good, if it's set like all that you need it to be. So you can go to Adobe Podcast, podcast.adobe.com/mic check, check your microphone for free, make sure you sound podcast ready. And they're doing that. And then you just hit a little test mic, and it asks you, how is my microphone setup and placement? And it'll tell you, okay, I can check for distance of microphone, I can check for gain, I can check for background noise, and I can check for echo. Fantastic. So you want to check that out. The other thing is Enhance. And this thing it's AI, and it's magic. So up to an hour or up to a gig of audio, MP3. I forget it. Does it do wave or no? Hold on a second. I'll tell you right now. So the thing is, it's definitely MP3. Oh, here we go. Let me hit this again. Hold on. Yeah, MP3 or wave files. You upload it, and then in about 10 minutes, this thing will churn and burn your podcast. You just put it as the voiceover only. You don't want to have any music or anything else underneath it. Just your voice. You drop that in there. Less than 10 minutes later, this thing comes out, and whatever noise you have, you could have somebody that's on a Zoom call. You recorded it, and the person could be on the other side of the room. All right? You can have somebody that's like, on the inbound microphone, right? The webcam mic, or they're on AirPods, or whatever there is. You can have noise going on in the background. And this thing will clean up all the noise. It'll reduce the noise. It'll clean up anything in the background. It will enhance every person's voice. If you're using good microphones, I'm using my Shure SM7B, right? You're using a Blue Yeti. You're using a headset. This thing will go ahead and take your audio, and it will turn it into professional sound. You'll sound like you're in a professional studio. I kid you not. Fantastic. The noises audio removes all necessary background noises. Any echo full of noise, it's going to get rid of it. It makes this recording no less than a studio generated clip, and it now conveniently creates professional audio and the ordinary surrounding. Trouble-free and easy editing audio, remote recording with easy synchronization, a mic check feature, and enhanced audio quality. This shit is massive. I don't know, man. I might just have to go ahead and buy this. I might have to go and get the Creative Suite myself, because this thing is just incredible. They also have, Adobe Premiere Pro also has a speech and text technique to edit the audio. This is incredible, man. I mean, you're talking about this artificial intelligence software refines and sharpens frequencies of the uploaded audio for improvisation. Good quality audio. And It just does it. Machine learning. Who would have thought this was going to be so easy? So they even did this, okay? Somebody actually did this right. They tested a piece of audio recorded from an IMAX built-in default microphone. The person stood 10 feet away. Output audio enhanced, seemed to it was recorded with a professional microphone in a noise-free studio. And this enhanced speech tool is a go-to tool, they say, for every voice recording and those who wish to share their heartfelt stories through a podcast. This thing is incredible. Incredible. I love it. That's from Martech, by the way, that wrote the story. Martech Post I took it from. If you haven't tried it yet, as a podcaster, I endorse this. Endorse it. It's excellent. Excellent. Go check it out for yourself. Go be a part of it. Seriously. And don't sleep on it. I'm using it tonight. I'm making sure all my shows are going to be at least, I'm going to have 59-minute, I can do 59-minute programs now. I'm not going to do an hour because I wanted that thing to go and churn and burn in the enhanced tool. I'm going to be using that from now on. I kid you not. I kid you not. Okay, let's move along. Into podcasting itself. These are the kind of things that are really making me excited. All right, a few things when it comes to stats. Podcasting's recession era, deal making gets more selective in the slower ad market. Right. We're not going to get so many of the affiliate type things that are going to be going on, right? We're not going to get that so much. We'll get some other things going on soon enough, right? Now, what you got in the moment, Hollywood Reporter talks about there were mega deals being done to build big libraries fast, but now the market's maturing, belt tightening is becoming the norm. Listen, when you got recession, this market's going to go through like every other industry does. Remember, everything in industry right now in recession, it's all cuts, it's all everything else. So there was an influx of cash for podcasting, especially after pandemic, during pandemic and after. An influx of corporate cash from Spotify, Amazon, iHeartMedia, SiriusXM. Big mega deals, new talent coming in, driven by these companies' ambitions to create inventory and demand. I could have told you, some of these people are not going to stay around. They're going to get their deals, they're going to do their shows, they're going to come in, come out. Now that's it. Market declines in ad spending, slowdowns in listener growth, show cancellations, and new rounds of layoffs and hiring freezes have led to some introspection. Now, what was with the show cancellations? I didn't read about that part. Oh yeah, 10 shows for Parcast and Gimlet next month as part of the cuts. They had a bunch of shows they got rid of because they just had to do it. And that's out of 500 original exclusive shows that Spotify produces. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Platforms like Spotify have more than 5.5 million podcasts. That's a lot. Exclusive shows like Joe Rogan Experience and Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy bring in millions of listeners, different demographics. And now we have a thing where selectivity could increase parity in podcasting, allowing more companies to have a chance of bringing shows and creators into their networks. And smaller independent podcasters without traditional representation may not see that parity going forward when it comes to getting deals with companies. But like I said, on the ad selling side, podcast distributors, monetization platforms are doubling down on direct response. Brands are refocusing investments to prioritize sales conversions rather than overall brand awareness. So it means those big affiliate deals, those big deals of like getting, some major celebrity or major figure to go and promote something for brand awareness, they're not doing that now. Not for podcasting. They want to convert. They want ROI. And that's what they're going to do now. So that means the ad revenue within the podcast and the kind of traffic they get, that's where everybody's going to be able to make their money. It's the way I have to do it. Right? So an opportunity right now for creators to lean on great niche content instead of trying to replicate existing shows and formats audiences might be getting tired of. Right, because then you're not worrying about how you're doing your shows. You don't have to go and copy somebody else. You're just going to do your own. Like this show. Listen, I do a wrestling show that a lot of other people are doing. And my Depraved, the Debaucherous series, there might be other people doing the same thing in some way, shape, or form. But this show, rare. I don't see a lot of media shows like this anyway. That's being done by somebody that's been in media, coming up on 30 years, right? Yeah, 30 years. But I'm on the outside looking in. Like, I'm not embedded into the corporate end of all this thing where everybody's all, whatever they're doing. It's nice to look on the other side. Even though people might think I'm not, I might not be in the game and not inside. So, like, how much do I really know? I know enough to know enough. Somebody they quoted in the Hollywood Reporter article I'm reading from, it says, saying, quote, podcasting is going to be just fine. It's still so young that a huge market change isn't going to blow up the entire world. There's going to be some tightening of belts probably across the board, but by the time we get out of this thing, we'll have seen podcasting continue to grow through the recession. Right. Now, among the people that are doing the most shows, iHeartRadio has the most shows, 817, Wondery 209, NPR 49, NBC 66, and the thing is, active listeners, 30.4 million for iHeart podcasts. That's a lot, man. Wow. That's crazy. And as for podcasting in general and what they're doing, an industry source actually put out a very comprehensive report. I'm going to just take some of the highlights. Triton Digital. They're the global technology and services leader to the digital audio, podcast, and broadcast radio businesses. They put out their first ever year-end podcast report. It shows what the evolving U.S. podcast landscape was last year, listening habits, insights into audio demographics. And they reported that podcast downloads increased by 20% year to year. Average of 3.8 hours of content downloaded per listener per week. There you go. Most downloaded genres was comedy followed by true crime. Oh, no, not cannabis? No? Okay. Actually, the show I host on Cannabis Radio, Blunt Business, is actually doing pretty well. I will, give myself a pat on the back for that. Monthly podcast listeners are younger, between ages of 25 to 34, skewing more male. 25% of them are 25 to 34. I can tell you from my programming, that's very much that. Like, I look to myself just at my Spotify numbers, and when I look at what Spotify's given me in terms of my audience, I haven't looked for this show. I need to look, but I haven't looked in a little bit. But for this program itself, and I just look back, let's say last 90 days for Broadcasters Podcast, and I look what the audience looks like, right? I can tell you that I don't have much of a, funny, I don't have much of a female audience looks like. It's small. Oh, hold on. This didn't give me 90 days. That's why. Hold on. Came off wrong. Oh, I see what's going on. So this thing is kind of messed up. I can't get the numbers I normally get for this show. Okay. Oh, well. I'll tell you what, for my Depraved and Debaucherous series, that's a good one to go follow, right? How about this, huh? This is fantastic. Hold on. Let me get this right. Hold on. I'll check this here. So my Depraved and Debaucherous series, 80% female audience. I am so proud of that. I'm so damn proud of that. 80% female. That is fantastic. I am doing my shit. And on the audience I have, 85% of my audience, 23 to 34. 18 to 34, if you want to make it 95% of my audience, right? 18 to 22, 100% female. And then 20 to 34, 87% female. I am so proud of myself. That is so wonderful. Yeah, I got an audience that's paying attention, man. Thank you, women. Thank you, ladies, for listening to my program there. ddradio.live if you want to check it out for yourself. ddradio.live. Now back to the podcasting report from Triton Digital. Podcast listeners in the U.S., higher household income, and are more educated and more diverse. And they're saying diverse in terms of Hispanic ethnicity or African American. Most downloaded podcasts in 2022, NPR News Now, number one top news show, Rachel Maddow presents Ultra. There you go. Fantastic. So they were up. So say what you want about what's going on with programming, but sounds like they're doing just fine. Right? Sounds like podcasting is doing just fine. And there's another, let's go ahead and go into what the radio industry is saying about it as well. PricewaterhouseCoopers, they predicted podcast ad revenues would top $2 billion in 2022. And that makes it that more advertisers are making it part of their media plans, helping radio grow revenue. Because radio needs podcasting to make any growth. And when they go into this, they talk about the fact that the growth in podcasting parallels a steady creep up in the amount of AM/FM radio content being consumed digitally. Edison researchers' ongoing share of a year study, 12% of listening to broadcast radio now takes place online, up from 8% in 2019. And they talk about the smartphones saturation. 80% of Americans have at least one, and adoption of smart speakers as 35% of people that have smart speakers. So digital distribution is making radio more accessible to a broader audience. 67% of Americans ages 12 up, they listen to streaming audio weekly. And to hold their own against deep-pocketed digital competitors, broadcasters must invest in next-gen apps and websites to improve user experience, promote them aggressively, and integrate with all manner of digital devices and platforms to make radio brands available wherever and whenever consumers want to access them. There's also to talk about how our artificial intelligence is going to play a role in radio's technology set. Probably. Like if we're already getting ChatGPT to do things where it can write, term papers for you, who says that AI and machine learning is not going to create voices that are going to replace the DJs out there? Without a set the music, I guess. I don't know. They think they can do that, I guess. That's going to suck, but talk about an industry that wants to continue to go and downsize and think they're going to just invest in technology to make it easier? No, that's not going to happen. But that's what we want to try. So Spotify is laying off people in podcasting. I'm not going to talk about that. We already know what's going on there. And I'll talk about one thing for The Verge. They put out a story about the Hot Pot Summit in Brooklyn. And they learned one thing that's being talked about is podcasters want more podcasts. Podcast subscribers want more podcasts. So the Hot Pot Summit, I guess is hosted by The Verge, is coming up to Brooklyn February 23rd. And there's a number of things that are going on right now with podcasting to make it easier, right? Apple now making it easier to distribute subscription podcasts. They're going to launch delegated delivery in the fall, and it'll allow creators with subscription shows to distribute episodes directly from their host dashboards instead of having to manually upload the content through Apple Podcast Connect. So participating hosts will be Libsyn, Blueberry, Omni Studio, and RSS.com, and there will be others later. Anchor, which is the biggest distributor of podcasts, is not part of the batch of hosting providers right now. Podcast subscriptions. Cumulus and Single Hill released a report that says that listeners will pay for podcasts. Among weekly podcast listeners, 36% say would pay for a monthly fee for bonus episodes of their shows. The other things that ranked well were extended episodes, 32%, early access episodes, or behind-the-scenes content. They don't care about exclusive merchandise or transcripts. And then they go along, and then there's another part I got to talk about when it comes to what YouTube's doing to help enhance and improve podcasters' effect on what they're getting out there, or be able to do what they want to do with what they want, right? So Pod News takes a story about this and talks about it. A platform called Adori is looking for podcasters to use the company's new tools to publish, share, and grow their podcasts on YouTube. And the first 100 eligible get free access to AI-powered tools to upload and enhance their show on YouTube and some bespoke support. Another thing to talk about was TikTok is testing a podcast feature. I don't know if we talked about this yet, but there's one thought that this might be actually happening. And it's allowing users to listen to audio in the background. And there's some, services that do that already. YouTube, you can do it with a little, picture-in-picture thing. But that TikTok wants to be able to do it, you can actually listen to the audio by itself. That actually would be wonderful if they could do that. It would enable a user to do other tasks on their phone during playback. And their push into podcasting comes as other companies are battling to gain a foothold in spoken word audio. And when they talk about Spotify and TikTok could be going head-to-head in consumer audio in the next couple of months, Spotify is dominant in music streaming, and TikTok's already been deemed a top platform for music discovery. They say that TikTok and this insider story could pose a real threat to Spotify's streaming business down the road, as they created last year a song distribution tool called Sound On, and a dedicated team is going to work on sound features that release both on and off the app. TikTok wants to get to you things. Like I said, we'll continue to keep looking at what the new music discovery is going to be. If it's still going to be TikTok that's kind of like controlling things or not, we'll figure it out. So it's a lot here. Interesting story as well. TikTok's parent company ByteDance is now spending $5.4 million to lobby DC on issues where there's data privacy that's becoming a point of contention, and a bill to ban the app outright. So TikTok is in the lobbying run right now to keep themselves valid and keep themselves alive. I give them credit for that. And one of the stories I want to take before we wrap things up, Broadcast Law Blog put out something that was interesting and that caught my attention about music licensing. I'm going to bring that up real quick here. Royalties paid for the use by broadcasters and digital media companies and other issues about music rights can be a dense subject. And there was a CLE webinar. I don't know what this is, but they talked about that there was a webinar that was recently given called Hot Topics of Music Licensing about the broadcast performance royalty, the appeal of the webcasting royalty decision, and the proliferation of performing rights organizations seeking royalties for public performance of musical compositions, and other issues about the entire process of clearing music for use by broadcasters and other businesses. So they're asking the question, is there a better way on how whoever is doing the music that they can finally get proper compensation, however it's being used? If there was a single pot into which all royalties can be paid, those royalties can be divided by the artists, songwriters, copyright holders. Those in the music industry are in a better position than the music service to determine who should be entitled to what percentage of the total pot. And the music industry have the information as to who owns what rights. They know what's being paid for those rights in the open market, and it will be similar to the proceedings held by the Copyright Royalty Board to distribute among TV rights holders royalties paid by cable systems for programming carried on distant television signals carried by these systems. How these royalties are divided is really a dispute between the rights holders, not between the music service using the music and the rights holder. So the idea is the music industry needs to be more involved and give some transparency so that, because the music industry still has a purpose. Even though people might not think so, because independent creators can go ahead and make music and they can go ahead and upload to a platform wherever they want. They can do that, but there's something where the music industry, this is something they should look at for themselves when it comes to the licensing issue. They're in the business right now of letting their libraries go. Like Justin Bieber's library just went for $200 million. Okay. But that's something that's going on right now where they're going along and making their own business. But the other thing too, the music industry is going to have to make, these record labels are going to have to make money somewhere else. The big publishing arms for these record labels, they're going to have to go somewhere. They have to keep making money. And there's going to be only so many catalogs of music they can go and buy and repurpose. Because what if that music doesn't hold up as much and does not get that much interest in getting more people to go ahead and use for purposes, if you're not able to persuade them to use it? That's the part you have to think about. There's only so many commercials for cars or whatever where they'll keep using old music, right? Just a thought. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, I want the enhance feature to be able to go and do the work it's going to do to make this sound great. Broadcasterspodcast.com. That's the website for all the previous episodes, all 261 of them. Thanks for listening in tonight. And as always, remember that content is king, and the control of your content is in your hands.
Thank you for listening to the Broadcasters Podcast. Find all the links to subscribe to the show by going to broadcasterspodcast.com. And don't forget to check out the King of Podcasts wrestling program, the Wrestling is Real podcast, exclusively at wrestlingisreal.com.